How many days from the past month do you remember? Really, looking back at the last 30 days, how many stand out as memorable? What do you think? You're in the front row, you're going to get called on. One, all right. What do you think? Hopefully yesterday counts as one, right? A couple, all right, a handful. What about you? 5, all right. I knew we had someone ahead of the curve over here. Well, as it turns out, most people have only 3 memorable days in a month. Wow. For perspective, that's being able to recall just over 1 month out of an entire year. So why do you think it's so easy for one day to blur into the next? I used to just chalk it up to old age, right? I was wrong. Turns out an aging physiology has almost nothing to do with it. The real problem is that over time, we develop a more ingrained routine with fewer novel experiences. Think about this. We usually wake up at the same time, eat the same breakfast, drive the same commute, work in the same office building, talk to the same people, go to the same restaurants, watch the same TV at home, and do it all again the next day. This equates to roughly 90% the same thing that we do from one day to the next. And 50% of that is considered completely mindless, a cognitive autopilot. And according to a 25-year study at the University of London, you're 40% more likely to die early. Whoa. Gives new meaning to the phrase bored to death, right? Okay, so how do we solve this? Change our experiences. Intentionally innovate on our daily routine. Whether it's as simple as parting your hair on the right side instead of the left side, or taking the scenic route home instead of the normal commute. Maybe ordering a surprise instead of the usual at a restaurant. Maybe it's wearing fun socks instead of business socks. Maybe it's bringing a break dancer to your talk. These are the experiences that stretch us, right? Fantastic. These are the experiences that we applaud, that stimulate our senses, that disengage that cognitive autopilot. And using EEGs and fMRI brain scans, we can see that these are the experiences that activate our hippocampus and frontal cortex, releasing dopamine, forging neurotransmitter connections and new synapse formations. In other words, these are the experiences we remember. And with each new memorable experience, there's a value gained, right? An added richness to life that we now refer to as life profit. So take, for example, any normal activity you have would have some intrinsic value to it. Let's say watching TV after work. There's some value to that. What you alternatively could do in that situation is maybe go outside and teach your kid how to fly a kite. And it's that incremental richness of the memorable experience that is life profit. Now, this idea of enriching everyday life experiences had become a new measure of success for leadership at P&G and other brands as well. And the more we dug into it, the more we realized that we had uncovered evidence of an underground social movement, an uprising against the ordinary, a revolt against routine, people doing just epic and everyday acts to save the day from being lost. And this had been driving trends across business, education, commerce, employment, you name it. And yet, the idea behind this movement isn't novel. The life profit approach to breaking the norm of routine is actually the common trait of history's great innovators and change agents. Whether it's Rosa Parks choosing to sit in one seat of the bus instead of another, or Richard Branson choosing to wear a flight suit instead of a dress suit. These iconic figures, they simply lived by a different measure of success, a different focus than the rest of us.